Welcome to the Dice Tower, a series of video reviews about board and card games. Here are your hosts, Tom Vassell and Sam Healy.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at which, in the past has become a pretty big event for me, which was always the New Days of Wonder game. Yeah. And this is the first New Days of Wonder game in a couple of years, I think.
Feels like it's been a while.
The last one they did was Cargo Noir, which was a game about smuggling cargo, which was frankly a little boring. Before that, they did Mystery Train. No, don't get me wrong. Days of Wonder, though, has done great games, and even their games that aren't that good have been games that were stunning to look at.
That's true. Stunning is a good word for Days of Wonder.
Yes.
From Mystery of the Abbey to Pirate's Cove to Ticket to Ride to Shadows over Camelot, their games have always been great. Cool looking, and many of them have been great games. Some of them rock stars of gaming. Ticket to Ride, Memoir 44, Shadows over Camelot, Small World.
Right.
Yes.
So, they have really big shoes to fill anytime a new game shows up.
That's true.
Does this one pass the muster? Let's see. As you can see, the board here is really beautiful. You're going to set up the board at the beginning of the game, and you're going to put temples out on the board. Now, you have a lot of temple pieces. You don't have to put them all out on the board, so the game will be different each time. There are purple, blue, and ivory temples. Each temple is made up of 3 pieces with a level 1, level 2, level 3 put randomly on those. The temples are different. The purple ones, you flip the top of those. And then there's also piles of ruins around, and those will go on different spots on the board. Now, how you put the temples out, you're really supposed to kind of put a purple, blue, and ivory in each quadrant of the board. However, that's not set in stone. You can play if you want to just randomly put them out anywhere. So what players are going to be doing over the course of the game is they're going to be moving their explorers. Each player is an explorer. They start here at base camp. And on your turn, you can move on one path. So this explorer can move here, this explorer can move here, this explorer can move here. However, as the game progresses, you will have trails put on the board. And as you have these trails put on the board, you can move on those trails before or after your regular move. So if I was here, I could do this, and then make my regular move and go to here. If I was here, I could make my regular move first and then go all the way back. And so setting these pathways up is a very useful way to move around the board quickly. Multiple players can have their pathways on the same path, but you can't use someone else's pathway. You can only use your own. Now, once you're done moving, you can use one of these packages, one of these supplies, backpacks, whatever you want to call them. You can spend one to examine wherever you're at. So if you're on a temple, you'll take the top level, you'll get that tile. If you're on the ruins, you'll take the top ruins tile. Each of them does different things. The ruins is the easiest one. When you take a ruins tile, you simply place a path of your color next to that spot. So if the red player moved here, he could simply place a path anywhere adjacent to where that is. And as I said, the paths are useful for getting around. When you go to a white temple, an ivory temple, and take the pieces there, each of the things here will give you special abilities. Sometimes there are one-use one, like this one here, which lets you teleport to a temple of the same color as the one that you're currently in. Or this one here, which gives you points at the end of the game. Collect 1 point for each pathway that you have on the board. Or this one here, when you leave the base camp, you get to flip a toolbox token over. Or here, whenever you whenever you move a pathway on the board, you get an additional ration. So there's different special abilities. That's what the white ones are for. The blue ones are a lot easier. The blue ones are simply points. You'll take these, you'll keep them hidden, and the blue ones are anywhere from 2 to 5 points, and usually, but not always, the biggest points are on the bottom. A purple temple gives you a very specific action that you can take as soon as you're on it. So for example, when I go here, this lets me teleport right to the base camp. And then this one here lets me move one of my paths to any other spot on the board. And this one here lets me take the action of one of the adjacent regions. So if I land there, I can do this, 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 and this. Now you have to spend a backpack to take all these actions. If you don't have any backpacks, you're in trouble. But you can always go back to the base camp and take 3 of those supplies. Those will be added to over here where you keep your supplies on your player sheet, and you can only have 5 supplies in total as the game goes by, but you can always go back to base camp and get more of them. Speaking of character sheets, each player is going to get one of these for the color, and each of these character sheets comes with a male character on one side and a female character on the other side, so you can pick which one you want to use, but actually more importantly, you can play a side with a special ability or the side without a special ability. So for example, the black player here, this is the side without, and the female side is the side with, and each of these gives you a specific one. For example, this person, you can place one of your pathways on a trail leaving the base camp before the game begins. Now, each player is going to start with 3 of these supply chests. Now, 2 of them are placed up here in the corner, and the other one is placed down here at the bottom. And as the game progresses, you're going to be able to move these up on the charts. Every time you move on a water pathway, you will flip a toolbox over. If the chest there, the tool chest, is face up, you'll flip it face down. If it's face down, nothing happens. And it's possible to move past multiple of these on a player's turn. So let's say, for example, that my character was here, and I had a pathway here and here. I could move here, and I could turn over both of these. So I would get to move my toolboxes twice. When moving a toolbox, I can choose to move it up this column or this column or this column. So if I got 2, like I just said, I can move it like this. As the game progresses, some of the tiles on the board might give you more toolboxes, so you might be moving multiple at one time. Whenever you want, once per turn, you may use only one of your toolboxes and take it all the way back to the bottom and use the ability of the spot that it's on. This spot here gives you another toolbox, so you can bring down another one, or it gives you 2 points. This one lets you put a pathway on a trail next to where you're at. This one doubles the victory points you get that turn. So let's say I take a blue tile. I would just show it to everyone and then take points from the supply equal to that amount. And I should mention here that all the points in this game you can turn face down, so you can't tell how many points people have. This one here lets you move one of your pathways to any spot on the board, 2 of your pathways, and this gives you 2 points for the pathways in your longest continuous route. This one here lets you do a temple for free. You don't need one of your supply packs up here. This one here gives you 2 supply packs. And this one here gives you 4 points for each of your relics. Ah, the relics. Before I talk about relics, I should mention that when all the tool chests are turned face down, whoever turns down the last one gets to move their toolbox up 1 extra space, and then they're all flipped up. So that you will get around and get them all done, and you will have a chance to move your toolboxes up often. When a temple's last spot is taken, on that spot we place one of the relics. Now there are 4 different relics, 1 for each spot, and you can see the relics here. They're really, really cool pieces. They really have a good look to them. I like the purple one sticking his face out. The bird, which is probably the most dangerous piece in the world to step on. And of course, the crystal skull. So I just took off a purple temple, so I'd put a purple relic there. If the blue temple came off, a blue relic. If ruins comes off, a green relic. Another ruins comes off, another green relic, etc. Now, you can get these relics. To get a relic, your player must start on 1 relic of a color and move to another relic in 1 turn. So obviously I need a path to do that. So let's say I was here, I moved, boom, boom. I would take the relic of where I was and I would put it on my sheet, and now I have a relic. Ha 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 ha. So there are ways to get relics at the end of the game. Each different color relic you have is worth 5 points. But you can also get points for relics, like right here. And there's also a few tiles that give you points for relics. The game is over when a certain number of relics have been removed from the board, and that depends on the number of players. You can see in a 5-player game, when 10 relics are off the board, the game is over. There's a few other modifications for a 2-player game, like you use fewer tempo tiles, and there's a few other rules, but that's basically how you play the game. All right, relic runners. Well, what do we want to talk about first? I think we should... we'll start with the obvious, the components.
Yes, let's talk about that one thing that everybody
is wondering.
Maybe not wondering, but associates readily with Days of Wonder, or most people do, and that is stunning productions.
Yes.
I don't think this breaks the trend there. I think the production is gorgeous.
It's really...
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about those relics in this game are similar to the ones in Forbidden Island, which comes with 4 of them. And in Forbidden Island, we were like, wow, that's so cool. You get 4 of these cool objects. This one you get like 15.
Yeah. Get a whole bunch.
And they are really cool. They look stunning on the table.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So on that, the plastic bits, the cardboard, the board itself, the art style, they keep using the same artists, so the line looks really good and consistent.
Right.
Just everything is clicking. The game looks great.
But I would say that I am not... The only minor thing about the components is those little trails. They're trains. I can't get over it. They look like trains.
The connections.
I feel like I'm putting trains. I feel like there's a small train thing there. It's not a huge deal.
Yeah.
This is the minorest of nitpicks.
True. But yeah, I mean, especially when you have them on the board, they definitely look like a weird game of Ticket to Ride, because it looks like you have your little train cabooses and locomotives out there. So, and really that is a minor nitpick. You had to show some type of ownership for the trails.
That's fine.
You gotta have it.
I can't think of a better way.
It's a non-thing.
We already spent too much time talking about it. Let's talk about the game itself.
Cool. Well, okay, I'll start. I thought the game was great involvement is in the game. There's great interactivity. You definitely feel like you always have something to do, and there's always actually something else you want to do also.
Right.
You always have that turn where you go, oh, I want to do this and that, which is great in a game. Any game that has that already, is doing something right. It's got a good length for me. I think it does what it wants to do in a good amount of time. Gets it done quickly. Gets off the table. It does not feel like it draws out. It does not feel like it ends too quickly either, which is also could be very well an issue. So I like the length of it, and it just worked for me, man. I really like the game a lot. I was surprised with how much I liked it actually.
One of the things that I liked about it is I think that there are multiple avenues to victory. You don't have to do one particular thing. You can focus on this aspect and put all kind of like all your eggs in that basket and try to monopolize the game that way. Or you can do it this way, or you can do it that way. And I like that about the game. You don't have to go after one specific thing, and you don't have to spread out necessarily. Now, you don't have to, but the odds of you winning if you do one thing... oh my word, he did it. As soon as I said it, I was like, please be mature enough not to... And he did it.
Nope.
Anyway, there are things that you can... you should diversify a little bit, but you don't have to, and that's what I like about it.
Well, I definitely don't think the game feels scripted, and that's sort of what we're talking about.
Not absolutely.
I don't think the game feels scripted, which is again a great.
Well, it's really interesting because at the beginning of the game, you have to decide which you're going to do first. And do you want to go for a white temple, which gives you a special ability, because that could be used for the rest of the game,
right.
Or do you want to run and grab those blue temples for those points? Because points are really a big deal.
Yeah.
Or do you want the purple ones? Because you want that, or do you want to, get as many roads on the board as possible, which gives you freedom of movement.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, one of the things I want to point out is I think that this is a medium weight game, like Ticket to Ride.
Yeah.
But there are moments where it could be very thinky.
No, I'm with Tom on this one. I think it's slightly over Ticket to Ride.
Because I think that you have to figure out, I want to get from this point to this point. How do I want to make sure I get there, have enough of those backpacks to use, not get stuck in an area, and do it before Sam does.
Right.
I
think there's a great mix of strategy, planning, using that little tech tree, the simplest of tech trees, but really cool, and tactics. He's going to go before me. If he jumps on that relic, what's my backup plan? You know, tactics, adapting to what's going on. It's a great combination of those two things.
Also has special powers. Each person is given a little bit of a special ability,
Right.
so that's another really cool thing that's added to it.
it's a minor thing, but it's nice. And one of the things, Z and I said that it's thinky, but at the same time, you can just start playing. If you've never played before, you're like, I don't know, I'll move here, spin a thing, take the tile.
That'll
move
work.
here, turn over a river tile.
You don't have to overthink it, and that's one of the reasons why I'm putting it on a little bit of a lesser light medium. I think it's on par
I'm
with
thinking
Ticket to
there's
Ride.
deeper layers to it.
I think there is, and the gamers will find that.
Yeah.
But your newbies will be able to enjoy this game as much as a gamer would be able to enjoy it.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying, because it's not difficult to play. You don't have to overthink it. Gamers tend to, but you don't have to. You can enjoy the game just by playing it.
Now this is the thing, though. Okay, we've been describing Days of Wonder. We talked about the great components, and we talked about this game is very good, and we talked about how we enjoy it. But I want to know how much we enjoy it, because that's what people are going to want to know. Because we're comparing this to a lot of other games that come out here. Is this just another game with really nice components?
Right.
Where would you place this, like, compared to many of the other Days of Wonder games? How much do you like it?
Well, here's the thing for me. This is my kind of game. You have to know that up front. This is a family-weight, approximately 1 hour game. That is my type of game in a sentence, okay? So I'm more likely to enjoy the game. My one caveat, the one thing I can say, I wish that was better, is the game does not feel original. There's no new mechanic that you go, man, I've never seen that. There's no new revelations in the game. It's a good mixture of things you've probably seen. Would you guys agree with that?
I don't know. The going from one point to the other, as the mobile pointage of them, as you clear out the temples and then you connect the things. I don't know that I've seen
That's
that
cool, and
combo done before.
Right, and that's probably the one thing that's like a new spin, but the game does not feel like a new revelation. That did not bother me, but be aware of it, But for me, high marks all the way across. I loved it.
Okay.
Thumbs.
I would give it 2 thumbs up and a little pinky action.
So that's more than 2.
It is. Great game, great game. 2 hidden crystal skulls up.
Well, let me jump in here then. I think I have a caveat too, and that is I thought the theme is. The game is beautiful. You're going through the jungle and finding temples, but I didn't think the theme was as strong as I thought it would be looking at the game.
Okay.
Essentially, you're moving around from point to point and doing different mechanical things. But the theme wasn't non-existent. It's just not super strong.
Right.
That being said, I think it's a very solid game, and I enjoyed it, and I'm actually going to be keeping it in my collection. I'll be perfectly frank, though, if the components were dull, I wouldn't keep it.
Right.
I think that the components elevate good gameplay to making this a game I want to hang on to.
Yes.
I think it's, if I was giving gameplay, I'd say the gameplay is a 7, okay, out of 10, which is good. If I'm giving the components, they're a 10. So that elevates it to something I want to keep in my collection. But I also want to keep it because it fits a whole... There's very few of these medium weight, whatever Z said, the medium weight 1 hour Family Euro. There's so few of these being produced these days. They're either doing these super heavy pieces of brain melting things or super light stuff.
Yeah,
This
you're right. You're right.
medium weight category is not
It's been
covered.
a bit since that wave kind of hit.
So I'm giving this 1 3/4 relics, crystal skulls. Yeah, crystal skulls. Yeah.
I took. Okay, you can borrow it.
I'm
What did you
calling
say?
a timeout. I'm calling a timeout because you had a question here that you asked it and then both of you danced around it and never answered it.
No, I can answer it. I don't think this reaches the greats of the small world. I think this sits in the same level as Colosseum and Cleopatra. Those are the two. Those are the middle ones that I really like. Pirates Cove, Mystery of the Abbey. I don't think it's Ticket to Ride. I don't think it's Memoir 44, Shadows of Camelot, Small World. Those are my 4 favorite Days of Wonder games. But I think this is probably number 5. No, number 6, Colosseum.
What do you think?
For me, this is better than Colosseum. This is better than Pirates Cove. This is better than a lot of their later games, Cargo Noir, Mystery Express. This is better than all those games. It's on par for me with Cleopatra. I really like that game. Be aware. And Ticket to Ride.
Oh, really? It's on par with Ticket to Ride?
Yeah, why not?
Wow. Okay.
I think this is just as good as a game. I could pull this out with the same people I would pull out Ticket to Ride with. And for one thing, the theme would interest them more. We're taking a train somewhere. The theme doesn't really work with everyone. This theme, I could see no one objecting to this. And I think the game holds up just as much as Ticket to Ride.
All right. That leaves you.
Yeah, it does leave me. I guess I am somewhere in the middle here because I'm not as enamored with it as Z is, but I'm also maybe I'm not in the middle. Maybe I'm
I was gonna say because I really like it.
I'm below him, so because I don't know. I enjoyed the game. It was fun, but I think I like it better than Ticket to Ride for themes reason only. I think the theme sticks to the bones a lot better with this than it did with Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride is a good game. Please don't misunderstand me. I love Ticket to Ride. I own multiple copies of it. So please don't misunderstand me. What I'm saying is I think the theme sticks better to this game than the theme did to Ticket to Ride. And that's one of the reasons, really the only reason I think it's a better game than Ticket to Ride.
But mechanically, you'd say they're comparable.
Yes,
they're both equally good.
Absolutely comparable.
I mean, really, we're just kind of flooding this with good praise.
We are.
We're being more nitpicky about this, I think, with many other games.
I would much rather.
Sure.
I would much rather play Coliseum. I would much rather play Memoir 44. I would much rather play Shadows over Camelot. I would much rather play a lot of those other ones that are we would call the heavy hitters. I'd probably play this above Mystery of the Abbey. I'd probably play this above some of the other ones that were mentioned. But
I mean, at the end of the day, none of us can dispute that we all think Days of Wonder has a winner on their hands.
Yeah. This will sell. This will absolutely sell for Days of Wonder.
All right, well, give it thumbs so we can check.
Okay, I'm going to give this. I'm going to give this 2 freaky looking bluebirds up.
All right, don't step on them.
They will hurt greatly.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.